What if I told you that in just a matter of hours, one man's decision unlocked a chain of events that reshaped the entire world? Today, we're unraveling the incredible story behind the day Napoleon Bonaparte's ambition met its match, and the ripple effects that changed history for good. You don't want to miss this. But before we dive into the heart-pounding drama of Waterloo, let's rewind. Picture this. It's the early 1800s. Europe is practically Napoleon's chessboard. He's not just a general, he's the general. Charismatic, strategic, and ruthless. Monarchs from Paris to Moscow tremble at the mention of his name. How did a mere Corsican rise to such unparalleled power? It's a story of grit, ambition, and military genius. But, as they say, the brightest flame burns the shortest. Napoleon was an opportunist, to put it mildly. Once a low-ranking artillery officer, he skyrocketed to prominence during the French Revolution. By his early 20s, he was a star. By his 30s, an emperor. Millennial overachievers take note. But here's the twist. Napoleon wasn't just after military glory. He wanted something much bigger, a legacy. And that legacy would face its biggest test on June 18, 1815. The infamous Battle of Waterloo. Now here's where it gets intense. Napoleon's return from exile in Elba stunned Europe. It was like a plot twist no one saw coming. Within a year of being dethroned, he attracted thousands of soldiers and retook France. Not unlike a blockbuster sequel. And just like every sequel, this one came with high stakes. His enemies, a coalition of Britain, Prussia, and others, weren't about to sit quietly. They formed a united front, knowing this was their last-ditch effort to stop the self-crowned emperor once and for all. The Battle of Waterloo, a name etched in history, is deceptively simple, yet devastatingly complex. Napoleon commanded roughly 73,000 troops, while his adversaries, the Duke of Wellington and Prussia's Field Marshal Blücher, rallied nearly 120,000. Outnumbered, yes, but don't forget that Napoleon defeated much larger armies before. So what went wrong this time? Rain. Yes, rain. Believe it or not, Mother Nature decided to crash the party. The torrential downpour overnight turned the battlefield into misery. Cannons misfired, cavalry struggled. Napoleon made the critical error, waiting until the ground dried to launch his attack. Timing, ladies and gentlemen, can make or break an empire. Meanwhile, Prussian troops, led by Blücher, were marching to Wellington's aid. Napoleon's strategy could have worked if his forces managed to split the coalition armies and conquer them separately. But time was slipping through his fingers like sand, and his miscalculation gave his enemies the chance to unite. Picture this. Chaos. The deafening sound of muskets and cannons, the cries of injured soldiers, and the heavy fog of uncertainty lingering over the battlefield. Napoleon launches a fierce attack, sending waves of soldiers toward British positions. For a moment, it seems like the tide might turn, but the coalition holds. As Prussian reinforcements arrive, the balance tilts irreversibly. Napoleon wasn't just fighting two armies. He was fighting history. His earlier victories had given him a sense of invincibility. But this was no ordinary battle. As night fell, Napoleon's army crumbled under a relentless storm of Allied attacks. For the first time in his career, he faced inevitable defeat. By sunrise the next day, Napoleon's dream of consolidating Europe under his rule was in ashes. Less than a month later, he would surrender and spend the rest of his life in exile on the remote island of St. Helena. Stripped of power, he died in isolation, years away from the cheers of a once adoring France. So, why does this matter? Here's the kicker. The ripple effects of Napoleon's loss at Waterloo are still felt today. His reign left a fractured Europe scrambling to rebuild. The Congress of Vienna redrew borders, paving the way for the modern nation-state system. And let's not forget, his ambition directly inspired future titans like Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini. Talk about a legacy with a dark twist. What's more, Waterloo wasn't just a battle. It was a pivot. A historical turning point that proved even the mightiest empires can fall. It's a lesson in humility, strategy, and yes, obsession. Would the story of Napoleon end differently if he had waited longer to ascend the throne? Or if he had ignored the calling of war in 1815? These what-ifs keep historians up at night. Time. It's the most precious resource, and for Napoleon, it ran out. The Battle of Waterloo continues to echo as the quintessential reminder of how quickly fortunes can change. So, the next time you think about Napoleon Bonaparte, remember this: greatness doesn't guarantee success. Ambition, while extraordinary, has its limits, and history, as we've seen, never forgets. If you were fascinated by this story, smash that like button and subscribe to our channel for more episodes of fascinating history. Who knows? Perhaps in the next video, we'll explore how the Mongolian Empire changed the map of the world. Don't miss it. Subscribe today.